we're moving on to the next panel, panel 5, Healthy Diet for Healthy Life. We have Jolene from JPI HDLI and Deidre from USDA. Would you like to give the audience a short pitch of yourself and the program?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm Jolien Wenink. I work for the Netherlands Organization of Health Research and Development, and I'm the coordinator of the Joint Program Initiative Healthy Diet for Healthy Life. And we deal with the societal challenge that relates to food, nutrition, and health. Over 2 billion people in this world are overweight, and this amount is increasing rapidly. And the associated costs with this are over $1.2 trillion per year globally. And science has delivered us valuable insight in the role that food and nutrition plays towards health, how it can play a role in increasing the risk of early onset of many diseases, how it can play a role to live your life with a chronic disease in a better way, and even in some cases like diabetes too, how nutrition can play a role to cure that disease. Though there are many crucial knowledge gaps that are still there and that need to be tackled to contribute towards a solution for this societal challenge. And that's where JPI HDL focuses on. Examples here from this are the interplay between biological, sociological, and psychological factors in relation to nutrition behavior, and how to come towards a more personalized approach, changing behavior from consumers. And besides the fact that people are overweight, the diet that people consume is also unsustainable if you look towards climate change, which will be the next panel, and also if you look to what the Earth has to offer, at least with the current technologies that are there. So that's something that we look into. We work currently together with 26 countries, of which 22 are full member states, and Canada already joined us a couple of years ago and is a very appreciated partner of our JPI through the Canadian Institute of Health Research. And a bit more recently, New Zealand also joined our group, so we're already quite working towards a more global approach. And one of the important things that we deal with, besides funding international calls, is also to help to look how to increase the impact of research also on a national level, and how to bridge both on the policy side, the agriculture and the health, as well as how to bridge on the scientific side, how to bring together these worlds of scientists and to focus on more an interdisciplinarity approach, which we need to solve this solution.
And Deidre.
Hi, I'm Deirdre Chester, and I'm from the United States Department of Agriculture, the National Institute of Food and Agriculture. So my colleague Otto talked a little bit about NIFA, and I am actually in the Institute of Food Safety and Nutrition in the Division of Nutrition. NIFA's mission is to invest in and advance agriculture research, education, and extension to solve societal challenges. And so within NIFA, we have a flagship competitive research program, which is the Agriculture and Food Research Initiative. I have the honor of being the national program leader that leads both programs in both foundational, which is our basic research program, and our AFRI Childhood Obesity Prevention Program, which is our applied nutrition program. And so we look at challenges of childhood obesity, access to safe, affordable, and nutritious food, and also global food security and fighting hunger. But on the foundational side, we also support research in the microbiome. I am also involved in a joint program with the National Institutes of Health with NIDDK, which is the food-specific profiles and biomarkers of health. Myself, along with colleagues from the National Cancer Institute, NIDDK, and some institutes came together about 3 years ago to support research in this area. It really came out of the foundational program that I provided leadership for, being capped at $500,000 for 4 years. And so that was an opportunity for us to really leverage funds so that we can fund projects at a higher price point. And so Jolene and I met in September. I went to Brussels to participate in the JPI HDHL meeting to really look at how we could fund some projects together. And so we have ongoing talks, and so we hope that in the near future, our next RFA cycle, where it could be possible, is in FY 2019.
So during the discussion you had last year, or 2016 and this time, what are some of the common interest research topics that you would like to share with everyone?
So I think the main common interest or research topic that we have is the microbiome. We looked at their portfolio and also our portfolio, and it's really an area where we're both funding. So we looked at it as an opportunity. One of the things that's interesting about USDA NIFA is that we can only fund domestic research. But about 2 years ago, it was placed in our RFAs that we are supposed to encourage and foster international collaboration. So we really have to come up with creative ways to do that. And so one of the ways is just making sure that we partner with organizations outside of the U.S. so that we can fund the domestic part of that research, and then they could fund the international side of that research. So, Jolene?
Yeah, maybe in addition, the National Nutrition Research Roadmap of the USA, which also includes the interest of the USDA as well as NIH and many other institutes, really connects well with the strategic research agenda of JPI HDHL. And time-wise, it's interesting that both the USDA is currently developing their strategic plan for the upcoming 5 years around nutrition, the nutrition topic. And JPI HDHL is in the process to work towards its next implementation plan, 2019-2021. So by keeping in touch and developing these strategic plans in parallel, we can see if we can tune the timing in a way that collaboration will be more fruitful and efficient. So, yes.
And from your perspective, Jolene, coming from Europe, what's the importance do you see in collaborating with U.S. partners, especially in this topic?
In the topic of the microbiome, well, the microbiome is an emerging topic. It's quite a novel field with a lot of technological development, which is a good thing, but which makes it also very difficult to combine and to compare different research studies of the past, because the technology changes and the way research is performed changes. And we are quite far away from really determining how diet influence health through the microbiome. It's a very complex issue. And to speed up that process, it's important that now that the intestinal microbiome research field becomes at the next level, to see how we can connect and make sure that the methodologies are more standardized so that we can repeat and compare and get the evidence that we need.
And from the U.S. perspective, what's the benefit of working with a European partner?
So I think our benefit is that oftentimes we fund researchers and they will ask us if there are partners outside of the U.S. that they can partner with. You know, they say you put this nice sentence in your RFA and you didn't really give us any information as to who's doing that type of work. So I think for us, it really answers the question that we have been mandated to say, put this international piece in all of our RFAs, to now do the second step and say, we actually know exactly who is doing research in your area. And the nice thing is that if we can figure out how to co-fund these, we can also go a step further and say, we already know that we'll fund this part of it, they will fund these objectives. And I think for us, the way that we look at that, we often leverage funds. I talk about the NIH program. That is such a large program, or a price point of a large program, because we were able to leverage funds together. So it means that researchers can do more whenever they are attempting these research studies in biomarkers. And so I envision that these researchers will also be able to do more. And we actually would have the information for them to tell them exactly who's doing the research.
A win-win situation for both
Yes.
sides. So now the $1,000,000 question for every single panel today. What's next? How do you envision this collaboration happening?
Well, we have invited the USDA to attend our management board meeting either in March or in June to think along in our discussion for our implementation plan. so that we can tune better in the future. And we also talked about some concrete actions around a workshop on biomarkers in September 2018, as well as to look towards the conference of the ASN, the American Society of Nutrition, in 2019.
Yes. And so I will say from our side, the nice thing is that I'm on the planning committee of that biomarkers workshop that we're having in September. And so it really means just making sure that we make that connection. Another nice thing is that I have a really good relationship with ASN. We have often had our project directors meeting at ASN every year for our grantees. So I think that it will be relatively easy to develop a workshop between NIH, JPI, and USDA. As far as my NIH colleagues, we talk often. We are in communication at all times looking at the research. And so it seems like a very easy fit. One of the things that we have to do at USDA, just another, it's a small step. You know, currently, the way that we're able to co-fund research with even NSF, NIH, is that we have to enter into a memorandum of understanding. And so it means that our administrators at USDA NIFA have to say, yes, it's okay. And so that is the easy part, because I think the convincing them that this is really going to get us more bang for our buck is the easy part. And so I think that once we're able to enter into an MOU, then we can actually hit the ground running, because we have been communicating over the last couple of months, and I have been in attendance at those meetings.
Great, thank you so much. So I want to open up the floor to our audience. Do we have any question for this panel? So if there's no question, I want to ask sort of my own question to both of you. What do you see can become or potentially becoming the biggest obstacle between this partnership?
I think that the only obstacle that we have with USDA is that we do have a mandate that we fund domestic research. And so, but to me, that's not a huge obstacle, because, you know, it's almost like whenever we put that information in the RFA, everyone called us. They said, oh, so now you're funding international research. And we were like, not exactly. And they're like, okay. And so that means that we have to explain it to them. So I think what it means is that is potentially the obstacle, but I don't think it's a big obstacle that we can't navigate it. We have started the negotiation processes of navigating that, in figuring out how can we put JPI more pronounced in our RFAs, and just saying that, you know, these are the partners. Bring us research, and we're willing to fund that. So I would say that that's probably the only obstacle, but I'm also a glass half full kind of girl.
Yeah, it's not in my nature to think in obstacles. Sometimes things will not go as quick as you want. But I think it's always the case to look towards solutions, especially if you are in an initiatives with 26 countries. I think that's the way forward, and if you deal with society challenges.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, so
Thank you very much. Just a quick comment, because you were from Caroline Lesser, I'm from JPI.
Okay.
Thanks a lot for. Oh, thanks. I just wanted to clarify something, because you said we can only pay for our own researchers, but in fact, just for your information, when we, within our respective GPIs, set up joint activities, very often our members only pay for their own researchers. So just to clarify, we don't necessarily function with what we've called in our jargon a real common pot, where all the money is put together and then we pay for whoever. No, very often we also have the same logic. Yes. So, and it hasn't been an obstacle for collaboration. So just to clarify, thank you.
Thank you.